Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with My Lowe's Rewards. Earn points towards My Lowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Welcome back to I Want That Too, the podcast where Disney merch meets Disney history. I'm entertainer writer Jim Hill, and as always, I'm joined by the lovely Lauren Hersey.
Hi, Jim. How we doing?
Lauren. We are doing well. We are doing well. And is this the part of the show where we talk about how you're soon to board a plane for Sin City?
I suppose this is the part of the show.
Okay.
I feel like I've got a couple gray hairs in the process with this trip, but what Jim is alluding to is that Eric and I are going to our very first visit, I don't know if you know that, Jim, to Las Vegas next weekend.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. All right. That's intriguing just in and of itself. And you won this trip, is that right?
Yeah. So I won the trip at an auction last year. I'm coming up on my window to be able to use it. Mm-hmm. And it was originally supposed to be a Vegas/Disneyland trip for my kids for spring break. Mm-hmm. We've been planning it for a long time. Mm-hmm. And my daughter's school now, they don't really have like spring break as much as the other two. So I made it a girls trip with my girlfriend Jen, and then something happened and that no longer would work. So last week we made the decision that my mom said she would watch our children, and Eric and I are just going to go. So do you have any recommendations? Is there anything Disney in Vegas that we should see?
Well, sadly, the spectacular Disney store at the Forum is no longer. I mean, it just went the same way. But on the other hand, if you're willing to indulge your husband's podcast that I do with him, if we can send you up the street to Universal Horror Unleashed. Construction is well underway on that. In fact, just last week, they announced the tickets were going on sale, and I want to say August 15th? I want to say. So, yeah, if you just want to drive by there while, you're going past the Eiffel Tower and the pirate ship that sinks every 5 minutes, you just got to have the right mindset for Vegas. It's like, absolutely. New York City is right across the street from a Play School Castle, which is just down the street from a pyramid. Yeah, there we go.
That pretty much sums up the whole trip, right?
There we go.
And there is a Marvel... there's an Avengers exhibit, and it's like, I guess, quite the experience. So we're kind of teetering. Surprise, Eric! I don't even know I told him about it, but teetering on maybe checking that out too. And there's some Disney like art somewhere. When I was searching for the Disney store, it's like, this lovely store is closed. However, you can head down the road 5 miles to the Disney outlet, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
There we go.
Not the same. But anyway, so we have a fun, jam-packed show today.
Okay.
We're going to talk about how I got my hands on some of the new Bath & Body Disney Princess collection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my feedback on that. Spoiler alert, some of the scents are really nice. Others, I don't know if I had nice things to say. But anyways, we're also going to talk about some Disney merch, I don't know, drama, I guess. I don't know. The Disney fans are always kind of, shook up about something. But this one has to do with the new Pandora ring collection. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
And for today's feature, Jim is going to be pulling back the curtain on something that we've all experienced at every Disney park visit, if you've rode any rides. And that is exiting through a gift shop. I mean, it's just a convenient layout choice, I guess. I mean, it's actually not. It's a result of years of planning and a surprising corporate sponsorship and, maybe some pretty clever psychology by Disney. Shocker. So I think once you know the full story, you may never look at Disney shopping the same again. We shall see. But before we get into all of that today, why don't we start with thanking our sponsor?
Absolutely, Lauren. And this episode of I Want That Too is brought to you by our friends at Be Our Guest Vacations. And planning a Disney trip, these folks are the real deal. As a Platinum-level Earmarked travel agency, Disney recognizes them as one of the best. Their expert agents take care of everything, resorts, tickets, dining, you name it. So all you have to do is show up and enjoy the Disney magic. And by the way, it's not just Disney. They also book Universal, cruises, and other top destinations. And the best part, their service is completely free. So if you're interested, please check them out at beourguestvacations.com and start your travel planning. All right, Lauren. So Bath and Body Works. Okay.
Yeah, that's a weird one, right, for the show. But I feel like the internet was exploding, so we have to talk about it. Okay. And I know you're familiar with what I'm talking about. Well, maybe familiar with Bath and Body because Nancy actually sent it to me as well.
Yes. That Nancy tries to help out with I Want That Too. And in fact, what was kind of ironic is I want to say, this past weekend on the Saturday edition of Good Morning America, I believe they also did a segment about this. So Disney is definitely thumping the tub for this stuff. So, but it's a lot of products, right? A lot of products.
It's a ton of products. I think it's their biggest collaboration that they've ever done. So there are 85 products that are inspired by only six of our Disney princesses.
Okay, so which of the lovely ladies made the cut?
All right. Well, no shocker, we got Cinderella, with it being like her 75th birthday. So we've got Cinderella, Moana, Ariel, Tiana, Belle, and Jasmine. I would love to know like how they decided on these 6 princesses. Like you got 2 kind of like sea smelling, like with Moana and Ariel. Like, you have any theories?
I have to admit, when I look at that list, I mean, Cinderella is the only one of the classics. We have Belle from the second Golden Age, and then, and of course Ariel, the Little Mermaid. But then the back 3, so to speak, between Moana and, well, also Jasmine, we have to put her in there with the second Golden Age. So yeah, I mean, it seems like they made an effort to classic princesses, second Golden Age princesses, and of course the newer girls.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can listen. I can get behind your theory. So we've got a lot of friends, giving us heads ups for the show of new things that are coming out that people are excited about. So if you ever see anything and you want us to talk about it, send it our way. But for this line, our producer, Dave, he actually gave me a heads up about the pre-sale for these items. So, of course, day one, early afternoon, I had to jump on. And by that point, so much of everything was already sold out online.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
It was incredible. Now, I was walking by the my local Bath and Body, and they do have a big, beautiful display, but I felt like I got everything I needed to check the box for the first rung. So what I'm holding here that you can't see, but Jim can see, is these are all the tags from the wallflowers that I bought. I was like, if I can't get everything, I need to at least buy one of every scent so I could, tell you which ones were what I thought were nice smelling versus ones that were a little questionable. So to me, the best was, I think, Ariel and Moana, but I also like that fresh ocean kind of smell. So Ariel, I also got a body wash, but it was sea salt breeze, citrus, and coral waters is how they describe it on the label.
Okay.
And then Moana was lush green palms, plumeria, and coconut water.
Okay.
Sounds
Okay.
pretty good, right?
Yep.
The two on the bottom, I have to say, were Cinderella, and the worst of the worst was Jasmine, I think. I was actually really excited for Jasmine. Um, yeah, it smells like a jasmine flower in soft woods. So that's my take. I'd love to hear from other people who have tried the collection, and obviously it's not just wallflowers. They have the candles and hand soap and body spray, and I mean the cutest things in the collection that I wanted and did not get were the. Do you guys use wallflowers at your house?
We do not that I know of, but you see, I'm a male who's almost 66. I think I couldn't pick a wallflower out of a lineup.
Okay. Well, they plug into the wall, and that's what you put the wallflower into. But they had like a really pretty glass slipper that was a night light, and they had some really pretty candle holders. But they were sold out by the time I got there.
Okay, I stand corrected. I live in a house with 2 cats, and yes, those sorts of things have appeared in our home.
Right.
That's Nancy battling both the smelly cats and, let's be honest, her smelly male as well. But yeah, I've seen those. Okay, I'm kind of interested in those. And by the way, Jasmine's a hard scent to land. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but once upon a time in Mickey's PhilharMagic, in addition to that moment where they thrust the apple pie in your face, there was a moment in the show where when Aladdin and Jasmine appeared on their flying carpet, they put a whiff of jasmine out into the theater as well, and audiences rebelled. You know, just one of these things where it's like, I do not want to smell that while I'm watching a 3D movie. So within, I want to say, 10 days to 2 weeks of the show debuting back in October of 2003, I want to say, they pulled the scent out of the show.
Wow. Okay. So, like, I feel like I'm in the right wheelhouse then.
There we go.
Like,
There we go.
maybe that's just not the best smell. Like, I would have rather it smelled like the palace or something. We'll see. But, you know, the princess kind of drama theories, hot takes, however you want to say it, it kind of continues with the new princess rings that Pandora just put out. You familiar with the rings? I mean, I feel like I'm talking about all the girly things. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm like,
no,
what does your house smell like? And how about some rings?
Okay, no, I mean, you have to understand. Again, Nancy and I have been together for 28 years. Valentine's Day basically consists of, okay, I have to go out and get a card from the cats for her. But all right, so talk to me about the drama of the ring. I mean, what was the problem? Did people have to go to Mordor to get the ring? Or what was the issue here?
Well, I mean, speaking of Valentine's Day, because I didn't know there was any issue with the rings.
Okay.
So Eric basically said for Valentine's Day, I don't want anything. And I needed a new necklace because my charms kept breaking, or my necklace kept breaking. So he was like, get on Pandora, buy whatever you want. Happy Valentine's Day. So, I did.
That is male shopping in its finest.
And
what do
I
you
was
want?
like, gladly, buy
There
now.
we go. Okay.
So I saw the rings, and honestly, I didn't think anything of it. I mean, if you've been to the theme parks, you know that there's like a Pandora shop at every park. They have a very deep collaboration with Disney. And so as I was telling Lainey about my necklace, she's like, did you see the Disney rings? And I was like, okay, yeah, I saw them. And she was like, there's big drama going on with the rings. So then, of course, I had to like Google it, and TikTok and YouTube and Reddit. Everybody's exploding. So again, we've got, what do we got? 7. We have 7 princess rings, and some of them, I think they got them right, others not. So I did share with you some of the pictures, and I just want to get your hot take to see if you're aligned with the rest of the internet on this. So the first one that we're looking at is Snow White Do you have any thoughts on Snow White as you're looking at this silver band with a red and pink rubyish bow?
Okay, I can see that for Snow White. Once you describe that, it's like, okay, that's what the character had in her hair in the film. Okay, I'm on board with that. So,
Okay, I'm okay with Snow White, except for
mhm.
I don't know that it screams Snow White. If I just glanced at it, I would think it's Minnie Mouse.
Okay, I can also see that's one way you could go here. On the other hand, what would you do? I mean, it's just sort of like, oh,
Yeah.
here's Snow White, here's the poison apple. It's like, well, no, that would be the Wicked Queen.
I don't know. And I also think it's odd that the stone in the middle of the red bow is actually pink.
Hmm.
Because that doesn't make sense to me. But it's okay. I get it. There's a vibe. I totally understand. All right.
Okay.
Next up, we have Ariel. And this is a silver band. And it has a pearl in the middle. Looks like a seashell.
Hmm.
So, any thoughts? Do you think this is a good representation of Ariel?
I think your note here is the correct one. I mean, don't get me wrong. All right, it's a shell shape. I don't know. I mean, face it, these photos of the rings are larger than they are in actual life. So I don't know if at a glance I would go, okay, that's a shell shape. I mean, I recognize that's a pearl, but as you note here, most of us associate Ariel, especially her shells, with they're yellow, right? They're the gold, that coloration.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I don't know if you associate the princesses with colors
Hmm.
like I do. Like so I'm okay with it. You cannot tell that that's a shell behind the
Hmm.
pearl if you're looking at it quickly. But I
Hmm.
also kind of would associate Ariel with gold as far as the band goes. Now here comes the hot take. So we got the next two.
Hmm.
We've got Rapunzel, which is a gold band and with three pink stones.
Hmm.
Um, and I had zero idea that this was actually Rapunzel. I would think that it was Aurora.
Well, no, it's interesting you say this because you also earlier in the reference we're looking at tonight showed a grouping of all of the rings together, four on top, three on the bottom. And I immediately picked this out as the Rapunzel ring because the coloration of the stones is the coloration of Rapunzel's dress. And I also kind of remembered the crown thing. That said, though, moving on to the Cinderella ring, you're not wrong. You note here that Cinderella really should have been silver. And in fact, not to belabor the obvious here, but we were just talking about the Ariel ring, where that's silver, and it's like, well, maybe they should have swapped these two to make the Ariel stone a gold ring and make the Cinderella a silver ring, because again, that's the color palette for the film.
Yeah, but the biggest drama
Hmm.
circling one of these rings is Jasmine. And I feel like this show she's getting a bad rap and we love Jasmine and we love Aladdin.
Hmm.
But this ring is a silver ring with a I don't know how would you describe that blue? Like a sky blue
Yeah.
stone, maybe? It looks like it kind of has like two moons on the side of it and two stars. And it is a silver ring. It is a silver ring. I mean, if you think back to Jasmine's jewelry in the movie, she's an Arabian woman, right?
Hmm. Yep. Hmm.
And so she was wearing big gold cuffs and
Hmm.
a big gold like choker type of necklace with a teal emerald in it. So I feel like they totally missed the mark. Whoever designed this, they messed up, I think.
Okay, let me just put a theory out here. I think this is somebody designing this jewelry who was like, all right, this is the princess from Aladdin, right? Well, when I think of Aladdin, what do I think of? Robin Williams' genie.
Oh,
it is the color of the genie.
Yeah, which again, if you're advertising a series of rings that are based on the Disney princesses, don't base one of them on an entirely different character from that same film.
Oh, see, but I had no idea. I never even thought about it. All right, last two, easy peasy. Tiana is beautiful, signature green, but it's silver. I also think that probably should be gold. And I was mildly offended that they were promoting the bell ring with the red rose in silver. Now, I will give it to Pandora because they did give Belle an option. You could buy this ring in gold. So these rings, if you're interested in purchasing them, the silver versions are $88 and gold are $125. They're on Pandora.net. If nothing else, just for funsies, if you want to take a look and give us your hot takes, we would love to hear about them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, you're not wrong. I mean, I get it. Belle's rose, the enchanted rose, but it's like Belle wore in the scene that everybody loves from this movie, a gold gown. I mean, maybe all right. Maybe it's a little on the nose, but geez, that's kind of what people expected, isn't it?
I know, and that's why the internet is breaking currently. So,
okay,
we shall see. But anyways, moving on. And when we come back, Jim is going to be walking us through part 1, which I'm so excited about, and how we got the in-park exit into a gift shop for attractions. I mean, we've all experienced it. Can't wait. Stay tuned.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate pina colada and Thai-iced coffee-flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
Pepsid Complete knows that food is one of the best parts of game day. That is, until heartburn strikes. Thankfully, just one chewable tablet of Pepsid Complete provides dual-action heartburn relief with an antacid that starts working instantly and an acid reducer that lasts all day. So you can stay focused on that second helping of chili without worrying about heartburn. All day based on 8-hour symptom relief studies during the day. Use product only as directed.
Love, exciting and new. Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever. It's
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships at Bermudan and British Registry.
And we're back. Now, okay, Lauren, look, face it, it's kind of, at this point, it's almost a cliche when you visit a Disney theme park that as soon as you finish experience a ride, show, and attraction, you're then, well, forced is such an ugly word. You're nudged to exit through a gift shop that features merch that's deliberately tied to the ride, show, and attraction that you just experienced. But what's interesting is it has not always been this way. Disney actually didn't get serious about this practice till 1990. By the way, it came on the heels of a decades-long deal that Disney had signed with Mattel to make toys based on various Disney films and TV shows, which isn't to say that prior to the official start of this practice, the exit into the gift shop thing, Disney wouldn't do things to enhance sales of the parks, make it that much more likely that you as the guest would spring for a souvenir hat. And Lauren, this was because very early on, Walt learned to listen to the folks at the Stanford Research Institute. Are you familiar with these folks?
I think they're still offering a lot of research, right? Like to today, am I thinking of the right group?
I wonder if our SRI is still around. I mean, I largely associate them with Harrison Buzz Price, who we lost a number of years back. But these are the folks that Walt hired back in late 52, early 53 to find the perfect location for the family fun park he was looking to build. Now, mind you, Walt sent the Stanford research people out the door with a pretty specific list of conditions. He wanted them to find at least 150 acres of land. And in this case, he needed 100 acres for the park itself and then the back of house, and then another 50 acres for the parking lot. And this parcel of land also had to be near the intersection of two major freeways so that large groups of people could easily reach Disneyland.
Makes sense.
Okay. Same time, this piece of property couldn't be too far outside of Los Angeles. I want to say Walt said it's like, I need it within 30 miles because he felt like the bulk of our customers, at least initially, are going to come from LA. And then more to the point, it's like the land has to be affordable. And Walt had turned to Price and said, I have $1 million. You need to get the land, all of this land, for $1 million. And so, taking all these conditions under his hat, Buzz goes out. He scours the area around LA. And he eventually finds what Walt is looking for on this unincorporated chunk of Orange County, which is located just outside of the city limits of Anaheim, California. Now, mind you, to get all of the land, Buzz has to, on the sly, mind you, buy up 12 different orange and walnut farms so that once they've got all these individual parcels put together, he's got a contiguous piece of property that is 160 acres. He got, 10 more than he wanted. Not only that, but he acquired all of this land for $879,000, which is $121,000 less than Walt had budgeted.
And that guy needs a promotion.
There we go. Well, no. And the beauty part, Lauren, remember, Walt said it's got to be within 30 miles of Los Angeles. It's 29 miles away. And by the way, it's 5 miles away from where the Santa Ana Freeway and the Riverside Freeway would eventually intersect. So it's like he got everything on Walt's list. And so it's like, I love these guys. So when it comes time because they found the perfect spot to build Disneyland. So it comes time to build the physical park. And these guys start offering advice. Walt listens. But these suggestions on the face of things, imagine sitting down in a meeting like this, Lauren, and you've got a Buzz pricing across you, and they start up by saying, well, 90% of the population is right-handed. Okay, so what that means is that right-handed people are naturally predisposed to look to their right whenever they're looking for something. All right.
Okay.
So now Buzz is like, okay, so we need to take this into account when people arrive for the day at Disneyland. And well, what do you mean? Why would we do that? Well, it's like, okay, they park their car, they buy their tickets, they walk through the gate. What's the first thing they're looking for? A bathroom. Okay. And then because they've just spent a very big chunk of money, like $1.50 for tickets to get into Disneyland, they're now looking for some additional, I probably will need some more fundage. So is there a bank in here? Also, again, you're going to Disneyland and you're rushing out the door and you're in the car and it's like, oh, dang, I forgot my hat, or, oh, this is the 1950s. I left my pack of cigarettes on the counter. And of course, you've gotten up early to drive to Disneyland. So you're feeling a little under-caffeinated when you come through the door. So, you're there with the wife and kids and you want to commemorate this event. So you're going to take a lot of pictures. So this is why, I swear to God, when you entered Disneyland in 1955 and you walked out from under the train station at the edge of Town Square, directly to your right, Lauren, first was a restroom, then the Main Street branch of the Bank of America, a real bank where you can actually go in and cash checks. There was then the Mad Hatter shop to replace that hat you left at home. And not to mention the Maxwell House Coffee's House restaurant. Because, face it, we're a couple of decades out from Starbucks at this point. So you'll take coffee where you can get it. And then just a few stores up from where you got coffee, hey, there's a place that sells fine tobacco and packs of cigarettes. Not to mention the Kodak camera shop.
Jim, I have to say, though, that, when there's something good, it doesn't go out of style, because working in advertising, this is very much still the way that we look at things today. It's called the consumer journey, whether it's online or in person. Again, Disney just, ahead of their time.
Oh, absolutely. But again, for me, what I just find amazing about this is everybody talks about, oh, it's the lovely turn of the century, and oh, the buildings are 7/8 scale, but they don't realize that these things were placed deliberately so that when you felt the need for them, they were there. And again, in places where 90% of the population would just find them naturally because that's where their eyes were drawn to. Now, as expected, these sorts of shop put where they were did land office business. And boy, did they. But more interesting, Lauren, is the very same rules applied when you exited Disneyland. And we're going to get to how that worked in a moment. But first, this.
Este episodio es presentado por Honda. Descubra la nueva Honda Passport Trail Sport todoterreno. La Passport más todoterreno que Honda haya imaginado jamás. Esta Passport cuenta con mayor altura al suelo, barras de techo en todas sus versiones y neumáticas especialmente diseñados para cualquier terreno. Además, disfruta todos tus viajes con el control de clima de 3 zonas, techo panorámico y opciones como asientos delanteros con calefacción y ventilación. Conoce más en honda.com/passport.
Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
And we're back. Okay, Lauren, again, we were just talking about, after following the advice of Harrison Buzz Price and all of the smart folks who worked at Stanford Research, Walt, when he had his Imagineers building Main Street USA at the original Disneyland, took advantage of the fact that 90% of the theme park going population was right-handed and naturally predisposed to look in this direction. Now, where this gets interesting is Walt, again, follows its exact same rule when it comes to designing the left side of Main Street USA, but with the understanding that as people went to leave Disneyland at the end of the day, that they're now looking for entirely different things than they were when these same guests entered the park hours earlier. So again, and also what I love about this is now that these people are exiting, they're walking down the left side of Disneyland, but again, now it's on their right. And again, they're naturally predisposed to look on this side. So starting at the top of Main Street, you got to remember you're starting to head back out to where your car is parked. And what's the first thing you encounter? It's the Coca-Cola Refreshment Center, because who knows? You want to grab a quick bite before you hit the road. And just beyond that is the Candy Palace. Well, maybe you're not in the mood for savory. Maybe you want sweet. And just past that is the Carnation Ice Cream Parlor. Because maybe you don't just want sweet, you want sweet and cold. And then it's the Upjohn Pharmacy. Because did you get a sunburn while you were walking around Disneyland? Or did dealing with the crowds give you a headache? Well, the nice folks at Upjohn will help you out. But then, just before you get to Town Square, you encounter the Emporium, which is the largest store in the park with the largest selection of merch for folks who are now, I want to take a souvenir home. And then the kicker, the absolute kicker, Laura, just on the other side of the Emporium are the largest sets of bathrooms in the park. Because, of course, look, you just had a Coke. You just had a hot dog. You just had that ice cream cone.
And the ice cream cone if you're lactose intolerant.
There we go. All right. But what I love is that back then when Disneyland opened in 55, it was felt, look, it's enough of an incentive just to put these things in people's eye lines. Disney didn't have to do anything to force people into these establishments. So put them in your field of vision, and you would decide if you actually would enter the gift shop. There was no forcing you to exit through the gift shop. which isn't to say that over time Disney didn't begin to stack the deck in their favor. Take, for example, over time they began to do things like blowing the scent of freshly baked cookies out onto Main Street from inside the Blue Ribbon Bakery. Also, I mean, when you went to Disneyland with the family, did you get to see those animated windows at the Emporium?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, again, that's kind of part of their insidious planning as well, because those windows are always deliberately placed next to the doors leading to the Emporium.
Sneaky.
Well, that's the thing. You're walking down the street, you see something in the window move, you step onto the sidewalk, and you stand there for a moment and you look at the window, and then your eye naturally drifts into the store, and before you know it, you're inside browsing. So it's like, I mean, I love how smart/evil folks in Disney merchandising were. And by the way, by the time we get to Florida, they're advanced, very advanced at what they're doing here. Like, for example, down in Florida, when you enter the Magic Kingdom, and we're talking, you're now up by the train station in Town Square. What you don't realize is you're standing on ground that's 8 inches higher than if you look down at the end of the street down by the hub, which means if we reverse this, it's the end of the night and you're leaving the park. As you're walking toward the train station now, you're walking slightly uphill, which is just enough for old folks like myself to slow them down. And you're now looking in the window and, what's it on sale in that thing? Also, and this one, the very next time you're in the Magic Kingdom, pay attention to this. All right. When you enter the park in the morning, the area music that you hear played on Main Street, it's made up largely of marches. So the idea is that's your musical cue to move decisively down the street. And you suddenly find yourself deeper in the Magic Kingdom. And it's like, I need a pretzel. On the other hand, at the end of the night, when you go to leave the park, the area music that's playing on Main Street USA has now switched over to waltzes and musical numbers with slower tempos, as if the park itself is saying to guests as they're exiting the Magic Kingdom, "Hey, pal, what's your hurry? Come on, linger a little. Don't you want to do a little shopping?"
We got shops on both sides in Florida.
There we go. But again, in the 1970s and then later in the 1980s, with the construction of Epcot Center and Disney MGM, the thinking was, well, when it came to establishing retail space in the Disney park, you really didn't have to actually force the guests to enter these establishments. You could lead them up to the door, but in the end, it was the guest's choice whether or not they'd enter this shop or store or not. But Lauren, this changes in the 1990s, and as we mentioned at the top of today's show, this is because Disney got in bed with Mattel, a company that Disney had been doing business with since the 1950s. I mean, Lauren, it'll be 70 years this fall that since Disney and Mattel first linked up, and that was when the Mickey Mouse Club TV show first went on the air in October of 1955. And it was at that point, the then only 10 years old Mattel Corporation, which was based in Los Angeles at the time, began advertising its line of toys on that kids' TV show, which ran 5 nights a week on ABC. And by the way, I only learned this today, Lauren. Mattel's very first big seller was the Magic 8 Ball, which I hit store shelves for the first time in 1950. And since that time, over 1 million of those things still sell annually every year.
I've probably got at least 12 laying around here somewhere.
And do you know where they are? Pick up the 8 Ball. Magic 8 Ball assets. Inquire later.
Better luck next time.
There we go. All right. Anyway, so given how well Mattel's toys begin selling once the company begins advertising on the Mickey Mouse TV show, well, the owners of the company decide to split the difference, and they actually they license the rights to make toys that are based on that TV show. And the very first product of this was the Mouse Guitar Junior, which was this little plastic wind-up guitar that was modeled after the one that Jimmy Dodd, he was the adult host of the Mickey Mouse Club show, the one he would regularly play in the program. And so the Mouse Guitar sells like hotcakes, and right behind it are Mattel products that we all know, like Barbie and Ken and Chatty Cathy. And if we then jump to the early 1970s, which is when Mattel is swimming in Hot Wheels money, this is a very weird moment in Disney's relationship with Mattel, because this is when Mattel announces its intentions to build Circus World.
Never heard of Circus World.
Oh, man. This is, seriously, we, as Disney fans, owe so much to Circus World, because this is the attraction. It was a $60 million theme park and resort that was going to be built just up the road from Disney World, 10 miles away in Haines City. And it so frightened executives at the Walt Disney Company, because this was a well-funded company that was going to be building something up the street, that we got Pirates of the Caribbean, we got Space Mountain, eventually we got Big Thunder. Disney effectively took 5 years worth of development and announced in October of 1973, just a month after Mattel had announced its plans to build Circus World, that, hey, we've got $50 million worth of stuff we're adding to the park next year. Anyway, and by the way, given Disney's very long history with Mattel, there were some very bad feelings between the corporations for a while there. Though, to be fair, the fact that this toy maker, due to some financial reversals that happened right after they made this announcement, Mattel actually pulled out of the Circus World project on the day they broke ground in February of 1974. And seriously, that's a story we have to do at some point. It's an amazing story.
Just writing it down.
Okay. All right. Given what happened again in 73, 74, it was honestly a surprise for a lot of people in the industry in October of 1987 that the public learned that Disney and Mattel had finally kissed and made up, which meant that the Mouse had just awarded this toy maker the exclusive rights to make preschool toys featuring the Disney characters, which, by the way, that's a license that Disney had previously given to Hasbro, and it was kind of a big deal to take it from Hasbro and give it to Mattel. Anyway, that business arrangement turned out to be so lucrative that in November of 1991, Disney and Mattel announced that they would be expanding this arrangement, that the two companies had just signed a new decades-long agreement that would start on January 1st, 1992, and last well into the new millennium, and a deal that was mutually beneficial to the two corporations. Okay, 30,000-foot view, Lauren. What this means is Mattel would now be allowed to develop new products based on upcoming Disney films, and kind of a lucky break, they cut this deal just before Aladdin came out, and then right behind that was The Lion King, which those back-to-back were two of Disney's biggest hits of the 1990s. Whereas the Disney company would directly benefit from this deal because Mattel would now start to sponsor ride shows and attractions at the Disney parks. And this arrangement began with the version of It's a Small World that would open with the rest of Disneyland Paris when the whole of that theme park and resort opened in spring of the following year, April 12th, 1992. Now, who knew that the happiest cruise to ever set sail, by the way, that's how It's a Small World was originally described when this attraction first opened at the New York World's Fair back in April of 1964. The happiest cruise to ever set sail. Who knew that would make Mattel executives so unhappy? And but we'll get to that part of the story, which I promise will explain why you now typically exit through the gift shop of whatever Disney ride show and attraction you experience. But we'll get to that on next week's episode of I Want That Too.
What a way to leave us on a cliffhanger, Jim. Like, literally, this is why I stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, because I get sucked into shows over and over and over. I can't stand a cliffhanger. I have to know the end. So we'll be discussing that next time on I Want That Too. On that note, I think it's about time we close up shop for today. Coming up on our next episode, we're going to be talking about some more Disney merch that we're loving. And Jim is giving us a deep dive with part 2 coming up. About Disney attractions and how we exit through gift shops. And, we have all been there, so can't wait for the conclusion of that.
And if you want to stay up to date to everything happening, make sure that you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We post all the latest updates and news from our shows, so you won't miss a thing. And if you're looking for some even more insider Disney content, check out our Patreon community. There's a lot happening over there, like Disney Unpacked, the video show I do with Len Testa and veteran Imagineer Jim Schul.
Yes, and while you're at it, make sure to leave us a review. It really helps support the show, and it means a lot to us.
Okay, and if you've got questions or suggestions for future episodes, we would love to hear from you. And you can reach us on social media or email us at jim@jimhillmedia.com and likewise Lauren@laurenhersey.com.
All right, that's it for today's show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on I Want That Too.